welcome back into the Scramble Drill Podcast. Super Bowl preview. It's almost time. We're in the end game now, Landon. One game left.
One game left.
The long off season of football.
Yeah. And before, I mean, I don't even want to talk about it. Let's talk about the game we have, right? Let's not dwell on what happens after this weekend, Ben. We don't need to go there.
That's true. But we always talk about too, like, we feel like divisional and championship week is the last real weeks of football, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Super Bowl's great.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just not the same.
It's not the same. Any game that your grandma who doesn't care about sports is watching just doesn't feel like football to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Mainstream people, obviously sports people, but like your average Joe doesn't care about divisional week. They watch the Super Bowl. Yeah, it's more of a social event than actual for sports people, but it is what it is. We still love the Super Bowl. We got a lot to talk about.
And we do. It is how we crown a champion. It's still how we crown the champion. So
it is how we measure quarterbacks. So we say that not to throw this game aside, but yeah. This is also not the Super Bowl I would have expected. If you told me 6 months ago that the Super Bowl is going to be Mike Vrabel and Drake May against Mike McDonald and Sam Darnold Seahawks in the Super Bowl, I would have thought there's no way that happens. There's no way the Patriots get through the Chiefs, Bills, Ravens, all those guys, and there's no way Sam Darnold makes it to a Super Bowl, right? That's not possible. Here we are.
Imagine this news coming out the day after Sam Darnold signed with the Seahawks. If it would have came out, that team is going to the Super Bowl and they're going to be the favorites. You'd be like, what?
No.
That's impossible.
No way.
I would have said it's impossible. Here we are. Here we are, man. And they've been the best team all year. So it's crazy.
Yeah. Crazy world we live in. So let's just go. We'll kind of go team by team, kind of talk about, strength, weaknesses, what they need to do to win the game. And we'll kind of end with, talk about maybe some legacy stuff. And then what we did last year with how we think the game goes, that kind of stuff. So, yeah, let's jump into it. Let's go straight to Patriots first. Landon, you have the floor.
Yeah, I mean, where I normally start, Ben, I've got an interesting stat for you that I think you'll like and be surprised by. Where I normally start is, what do I want to see from quarterbacks, Ben? What is like my number one thing in playoff games?
I mean, it's everybody's number one thing. Don't turn the ball over.
Don't turn the ball over. Here's an interesting stat, though, about both these teams. There are two teams in the NFL this year that have a winning record when their quarterback turns it over multiple times. You want to guess who those two teams are?
Well, I know Darnold because he turned the ball over a lot this season.
Yep.
And the Patriots, I'm assuming?
There's one more. The Patriots is the other one. The Seahawks are 5-1 when Darnold turns it over multiple times. The Patriots are 4-1 when May turns it over multiple times. Now, maybe you say that, the Patriots, a lot of those games were against bottom feeders and this and that and whatever, and, maybe they won't be able to overcome it against the Seahawks. But they have shown an ability, even when Drake doesn't play well, which he has not played well all postseason. He's not had one good game in the postseason. They've shown an ability to just kind of cover it somehow, whether that be defense, whether that be turning the opponent over, whatever it may be. But even with that being said, I think in this one, man, if you gave me the option of Drake throwing for 350 and turning it over 3 times, or Drake throwing for 175 and not turning it over, I think I'd still pick 175 with no turnovers.
I think he's got to in this game. This isn't a game. It's weird because I said this also last week with Sam Darnold, and it turned out to not be true. I think in order to win it, like he does not necessarily have to be Superman, but he can't be Superman like you said and also make mistakes. He can't be the Josh Allen level Superman and win this game. Not against this team.
Yeah, and I feel I feel a little bit similar to how I did last year about the Super Bowl. Last year, my whole thing was I think the most likely outcome is the Chiefs win by 1 score. But I was very I said over and over and over again, the second most likely outcome is an Eagles blowout. I think I think the Seahawks could win this game close or by blowout. I I I think either one of those things is on the board. I think the Patriots' only shot is a close game. I don't know if the Patriots have the horses to blow this Seahawks team out unless Darnold goes full Stroud, which, Ben, I'm still not going to rule out. I'm still not ruling it out. I know I've been impressed by him, whatever. I'm still not ruling it out. But my point is, I think the Patriots have to be very good on the margins of this game. It'd be great to force a turnover, right? Those are kind of fluky, though. But I think they have to be very good field position. I think they have to be very good. Their punter did not have a good game against Denver. Remember, he shanked the one, and Denver got the ball at their own 35. Remember that one where they couldn't move the ball at all, and their punter made that mistake. I think the Patriots have to be really good on those types of deals. I think they're going to have to make decisions on, man, are we going to punt it to Shaheed, or are we going to, kick it high, let the defense get down there where we know he's going to fair catch it, but then we lose a little bit of yardage?
I thought it was funny. I was watching First Things First a second ago, or not a second ago, but maybe yesterday. And they were doing their kind of segment of Dark Horse MVP picks. And one guy said, it might have been Nick, right, said Rashid Shaheed.
Oh, yeah? Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a game changer.
You see what he's done. I mean, you saw the kick return against San Francisco. That game was over in 10 seconds. You saw the big punt return against the Rams. He's the type of guy, if you'll remember, let's see, it was the 49ers, the Super Bowl the Chiefs beat the 49ers. No, I think it was the Super Bowl the Chiefs beat the Eagles. Remember, Kadarius Toney had the big punt return inside the 5 in that game. Remember that?
Yeah.
And if that doesn't happen, I don't know if the Chiefs win. Could something similar happen here? Could we be sitting here talking Monday morning about, man, Rashid Shaheed took that punt to the house in the third quarter, and that's where it all flipped? Maybe. So I think it's going to be very important. And the Patriots are a really well-coached team, so I've got faith that they can do that. But I think things like field position, I think things like, how many penalties do you have? Can you play a clean game? Will Campbell, you have struggled mightily in these playoffs.
Yeah,
this Seattle pass rush
comes at lit up a couple weeks ago.
Got him lit up. This Seattle pass rush comes at you from everywhere. Can he A, hold up, or B, not get a lot of penalties? I'm interested to see that. I mean, so those are the type of things I'm really looking for in this game. If you ask me, who is it more important to be good at the subtle margin pieces of these games, I would probably say the Patriots in this one. They've got to knock these out of the park if they're going to have a chance to win this game, I think.
Yeah, it's one of the, and we'll talk about the Seahawks in a second, obviously, but it's similar to last year to where one of these teams is better than the other. Now, I don't think the gap in roster-wise is quite as bad as it was for the Patriots versus Seahawks as it was for the Chiefs versus Philly. I mean, Philly had the Chiefs outclassed everywhere outside of quarterback. I don't think that's necessarily the case this time, but the Seahawks roster is better. They have better athletes pretty much everywhere. So, yeah, I like the Rashid Shaheed punting take, because I was going to say for both of these teams, it's a game to where punting is your friend. Both the offenses are very, very good, but both of the defenses are also extremely good. So I don't think you need to score every single drive in this one. You just need to be smart. So I think that's that's a good take.
Two other things I'm going to be looking for from the Patriots side. One, if you have paid attention to these playoffs, I don't know what the deal is. Travion Henderson, I don't know if he's lost favor. I don't know if it's I don't know what the deal is. He's just not playing.
He's out of the game.
Are they able to He's out of the game plan. I think part of it is the Patriots offensive line is probably their weak point right now.
I was going to say that too. I think they just need to be for Ramondre in there.
Yeah, and is he bad in pass pro? I don't know that. I've heard
which is say weird that. Though. Again,
I don't,
because coming out of college, that was one of Ramondre's like Trayvion's standout features. Is Trayvion is an outstanding pass protector. He was great at Ohio State at that. He was outstanding at Ohio State at that. So maybe it hasn't translated to the pros. That's very possible. But that is something that I've noticed is people talk about, oh, well, they need Ramondre for pass protection. I'm like, I thought that was one of the huge strengths of Stevenson, or gosh, I keep getting the names mixed up, of Henderson.
Yeah,
so
Henderson.
That's a really weird thing to me.
That's surprising to me because that's all I can think of. Like, maybe they just don't trust him there. I've heard people say that he's been struggling with that this year. I didn't realize that was kind of his calling card. So maybe that's not it. Maybe he's just lost favor. I don't know. He's never been the guy, like all year, even his really good games. He never was like, he's not a guy. He might average 6 yards a carry in a game, but he will have no carries for 6 yards. He'll have no carries from anything between 4 and 10 yards. It'll be -1, 2, nothing, and then 65. You know, like that's his game. He's not that's just how he's been all year. Ramondre's a little more consistent in that realm. I'm interested. Can they get any run game going? Because this postseason so far, I think Ramondre had one good game, if I'm not mistaken. But it's been a lot of Drake May's all we got running the ball. And he's been fantastic at it. Are they able to get anything going with their running backs to keep the pressure off Drake? That'll be interesting to see if that can happen. And the other thing, Vrabel has been good all postseason, and you can say it's been a cupcake offensive schedule or whatever. He has been able to exploit opposing offenses. What can he do with JSN? Because the Rams had no answers. A lot of teams this year have had no answers for JSN. Last week, it seemed like there were whole drives or 2 weeks ago, it seemed like there were whole drives where all they were doing was throwing to JSN and the Rams couldn't figure it out. Does Vrabel have a pitch
that is
for
their fastball, and no one can hit it so far.
Yeah, I mean, does Vrabel have something for that? Can he say, all right, Sam, we're going to make Cooper Kupp and Rashid Shaheed and Austin Barner and these other guys, or is it Austin? I know it's Barner. I think his first name's Austin.
AJ Barner.
Some of these other guys. AJ Barner. Okay. Make them beat us. We're not going to let you beat us with JSN. If he's able to do that, man, I like their chances a lot more. But if we look up at halftime and Rashid and JSN, has 85 yards and a touchdown, you know, I'm interested to see those two things. What do the Patriots do running back wise, and are they able to make Sam Darnold go to another weapon than JSN?
One of the things too, you talk about JSN, is like you saw it against the Rams, is obviously he was the fastball. They couldn't quite catch up to it. But Sam Darnold trusts Cooper Kupp too. Like, he went to him on multiple different occasions. It's not like you look at the offenses they've played, and it sounds like I'm a hater in this, but I'm not. But the Chargers really didn't have a second option to go to. Once they figured out the receivers couldn't get open, they were never going to run the ball to get in that game. Kind of easy to take it away. The Texans didn't have Nico Collins, so again, it was just a mess there.
I forgot about that. Nico didn't play in that game. My goodness.
Yeah, no Nico. And then obviously we know what happened in the Broncos game with the weather, backup quarterback. The Seahawks have other options. They got Kenneth Walker. They can lean on him. Yep. They got a good running game. They got Cooper Kupp. They got Rashid Shaheed. They have other options they trust, and they have other options that are effective in this game. So while, yeah, that JSN is a problem, it's not just JSN.
Yeah, I mean, that is the question that, you know, Vrabel's going to have to answer. So
this will be the first. And if he can do this, it'll clear everything. It'll remove all doubt that no, it didn't matter. They figured it out regardless. So, but this is a much taller task.
I mentioned it last week, right? I think if, regardless of what happens in 5 years, nobody's going to remember the path the Patriots took to get here. They're not going to remember the regular season schedule. They're not going to remember. They'll probably remember Bo Nix was out of the AFC Championship. That's going to be a big one. But they're not going to remember what this Chargers offensive line looked like, the Stroud meltdown. Like the path isn't going to matter, but it does right now for people. But if the Patriots win this game, the way people view the Seahawks, they're going to be like, oh, it doesn't matter what people are going to think. It doesn't matter what their path was. They were good enough to be here, right? This is a validate this season type game for the Patriots. If they're able to hold up, if they're able to figure out JSN and some of these things and keep the explosive plays to a minimum on defense. So it's huge in that matter, not just, Super Bowl on the line. It's huge to validate that this team is actually an elite team and was really this good all year.
And I think even if they're close to, they'll still be a lot of validation because people view it, and I do agree. The Seahawks do have a superior roster than the Patriots do. Not that the Patriots roster is bad by any means, but they just do. So if they're at least close with them and they're like, oh man, they really, gave the Seahawks a scare there, then yeah, this team deserved to be it. If this game is a blowout, we're going to be having a different conversation next week.
Yeah. Yep.
Anything else on the Patriots?
No, I mean, I'm excited to see how it turns out, man. I really am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we want to do the what's on the line for him yet, or do we want to do that later in the episode?
We can do that. Yeah, let's go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we kind of touched on already the validation part. But let's look at it strictly from maybe Vrabel and May, because that's what teams and other players are judged on season, but the coaches and specifically quarterbacks are judged on Super Bowls, right? So obviously
that's what matters.
Making it in your first year as a head coach, huge deal. Making it in your second year as a starter, again, massive deal for these guys. So they've already proved a lot, and they've already locked themselves in those, highly regarded positions in the league. But what does a loss or win do for either of them?
So a loss, nothing. Like this has been a fantastic success no matter what with a loss, right? I mean, everyone's thrilled, even if they lose, as far as what this year meant for them. But with a win, this means a few things. I don't know if you know this, Ben, but the Patriots have in the past had a pretty good head coach quarterback combination. Do you remember them?
Was it 20 years ago? Or maybe they had them for 20 years, it felt like.
It was 25 years ago and also 5 years ago. Yes. Same guys, or 6, excuse me. Yeah, I mean, so those guys, Brady won the Super Bowl in his second season, and truly it kind of looked a lot like this Drake May run, where Brady did not play well, but the defense, they figured it out, whatever. Right? Dude, if they win the Super Bowl, just Patriots fandom-wise, the Patriots fans will go to bed Sunday night thinking, we're going to do it again. Not to the same level, but we have a chance with a quarterback in his second year, a coach in his first year with us. We win the freaking Super Bowl. They're going to be saying we have a chance to be an elite team for the next decade again. That shouldn't be allowed to happen. That should not be allowed to happen to a fan base, but that's what they have on the line just from a Patriots fandom perspective with this Super Bowl win.
I hate that. Nothing against the Patriots personally, but I've never once known what that felt like in any sports medium.
It's crazy.
That is insane.
No, it doesn't make any sense. Like, yeah, the Packers got Rodgers right after Favre, but both those guys only won one Super Bowl apiece. If Tom and Bill get 6, and then they take a 5-year break, and then Vrabel and May win number 1 in year 2 and year 1, I mean, that shouldn't be allowed to happen. But bigger picture for like the league-wide stuff, for Drake May, being the list of quarterbacks to win a Super Bowl in year 2, Kurt Warner, which That's actually a weird one because Warner was like old and he had been playing football. I think he played in the Canadian League a little bit. I think he played a little bit overseas and then came. It was like a weird story there, right? He's
Yeah.
one. Brady, Big Ben, won in year 2, and Russell Wilson. Now, all three of those guys, Brady, Ben, and Wilson, they were good enough in the playoffs and their defense completely carried them, right? None of those guys, maybe Wilson was close, but Drake May's going to finish top 2 in the MVP this year. I mean, if on his resume, he has a season where his second year MVP 1 or 2 and a Super Bowl, dude, he's got an argument. He had the greatest second season ever,
Yeah.
for any quarterback. Now, Mahomes in his second year starting won the MVP in the Super Bowl, but that was his third year because he sat out his first year, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is true second year, top 2 MVP finish, second team All Pro, Super Bowl champion, and
And it wasn't like
that comes with a Super Bowl MVP.
It wasn't like he played
That's
4
the
years of
greatest
college
second
ball either.
season.
Like he played 3 years of college, didn't he? Came out as a true junior.
Yeah, he played 3 years of college.
Yeah.
And
That's crazy.
it's insane. It's insane what he has in front of him. So that's the history side. The right now side is he goes into next season with a claim. Again, I will not believe it. You will not believe it. He can claim, I'm the best quarterback in the league. I've done something Josh has never done. I've done something Lamar's never done. I've done something Burrow's never done. I've done something Mahomes couldn't do. Win it in year 2. He's going to have that claim. And regardless, I mean, yes, the Patriots' overall path to the Super Bowl as far as the teams they played is not great. But all 3 of the teams they've played have been like really good defenses. I don't know where they rank, but really good defenses. And the Seahawks is another elite defense. If he beats those 4 defenses en route to a Super Bowl, I mean, you think about where it just is what it is at that point. I mean, and right now.
Yeah. You played what? The top 5 defenses to get there?
Like probably 4 of the top, I don't know, 4 of the top 10, probably 4 of the top 8. I don't know. And so this would cap off what you would consider the greatest second year as a starter in the history of the league. I think Kurt Warner won the MVP that year also, but again, he was like 29 or something, 28. Drake May's 22 or 23, and it would be absolutely insane historically if he finishes this off with the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and it it wasn't like he was one of those seasons where he got carried by the roster. You can argue that in the playoffs because he hasn't looked great, but he put up an MVP regular season.
Yeah, he did. And again, yes, they had the easiest schedule ever. We can poke holes through this playoff run. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Yeah. If he wins the Super Bowl, no one cares. You can't go back to that. You can't go back and say, well, actually, you look at who Russell Wilson played in 2013. His year was actually better than Drake. Nope, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Drake finished top 2 in the MVP. He may win the MVP. He still has, I don't think he's going to, but he still might.
Yeah, we're recording this. Actually, the NFL Honors is going on right now, so we will know that later.
Is it?
Yeah.
I thought it was Saturday.
No, it's tonight.
Oh, dang. Okay. Well, we're going to find out later tonight, but okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be just insane for Drake May, the Tar Heel, to do it in this fashion. It'd be incredible.
Yeah. We'll see. I guess the only reason I don't want it to happen for Drake May is pure jealousy. That's the only thing I've got.
Yeah.
Is just jealousy.
Yeah, I felt confident after the end of last season saying Jaden just had the best rookie season ever to do what he did with that roster. I still feel that way. And I would feel confident if Drake May wins to say this is the greatest second year player of all time. I feel confident in saying that.
And obviously, you said you and I won't believe it. If they win it and he has an ugly game, maybe there's probably, I mean, not maybe, there's definitely still going to be a whole lot of discourse about it. But if he goes out there, and drops a smoke show in this game and absolutely lights it up and is the reason they win it, then there is a real argument then for him being the best.
Yeah.
All right. Seahawks side, as unbelievable as it is that the Patriots got here and what Drake May has done too, it is equally as impressive what the Seahawks have done. And the Seahawks did it a different way too. Is because the Seahawks, you look at the Patriots, right? And obviously they had the Brady Belichick dynasty. They take about 5 years off, and they're really bad during those 5 years. Really bad.
Yeah.
And then, after a couple of good years, you finally hit on a coach, you hit on your quarterback, and obviously everybody knows the rest from there. You spend a bunch of money in free agency. Now you're back in the Super Bowl. The Seahawks haven't been true contenders, but they also haven't been bad either. Like, I feel like every year the Seahawks are always good. Even with Geno, it's never, I think the Seahawks are going to, be a real playoff threat. But they're going to win 8 games. So it's interesting to me that they've taken that path.
And so they're the comfortable decisions over the past few years for the Seahawks would have been stick with Carroll until he retires because he's still winning games, and Geno's winning you games, so stick with him. And they said, no, we're not going with the comfortable decision. We're going to fire Carroll, and you hit the ball out of the park. Hit the ball to the moon with the Mike McDaniel hire. And then you say, look, man, I saw what Sam Darnold did last year. I know how it finished up, but I saw a lot that I liked. We're going to trade Geno and start over with Sam Darnold. And with the roster they've built, it puts them in the Super Bowl.
Their GM has not missed. He hasn't missed, dude. He got rid of Carroll right when he needed to. He got rid of DK, Geno, and Tyler Lockett all right when he needed to. He has not missed.
Go back 2 years. And if you would have said, who's the best player on the Seahawks, I think a lot of people would have said DK Metcalf. And they said, bye.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. We like JSN. We'll bring in Cooper Kupp, who we both said when this hire, or when they brought in Kupp, like, he's kind of got the same game as JSN. Like, they both line up everywhere. They're both really good intermediate. Little did we know JSN was going to turn into the best deep ball receiver in the league this year. And so now Cooper Kupp and him complement each other really well. Yeah. And they've just knocked the ball out of the park. So props to them. And I think a lot of people are pulling for them for that reason, because, this is the dream for a fan base that, don't know if you have the right coach, don't know if you have the right quarterback. This is the dream. Like, hey, man, if you switch it up, it can go this way. Now, it can go really poorly, too. We've seen that many times. But this is the dream.
I feel like we don't see this situation pan out that much. At least not in the modern day of the NFL. This playoff has kind of been a little bit of a throwback to where you've got, like, your defensive masterpieces, even though Drake May is probably the best quarterback in this in this playoff. He hasn't played great, similar to like when you had your Peyton Mannings back in the day. Like, Peyton was never good in the playoffs, dude. He was always bad.
No.
And that, they could still find a way to make it to the Super Bowl and win. And you could have somebody like this, like a Sam Darnold, 15 years ago, maybe make it to a Super Bowl from the other side. But for the past decade, that's not been the case. It's not been possible.
Well,
but now here we are.
So I wanted to go through this, okay? And I was going to do this a little bit later on, but let's do it now. So if you look at the past 15 Super Bowls, a Seattle Seahawks win, what would this mean? Here's what it means, man. There's a lot of ways to win a Super Bowl. There just is. There's a lot of ways for your team to win a Super Bowl. What do I mean by that? For a while there, the only way to win the Super Bowl it seemed like for forever, was have Tom Brady and Bill Belichick or have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. Like, that's what it's felt like. Has it felt like that to you for the last little bit here?
No, for sure. And I guess that's kind of where I was getting. At least for the AFC saying. For sure. Yeah, at least for the AFC for sure, you had to have that. And then the NFC usually could sneak a team in who, because they haven't had as good a quarterback play, the NFC usually could do it with a really great defense and roster, which, I mean, kind of has been the case again this year, but it just didn't feel like, that was possible in the new way the NFL has emerged, to where you got to have a coach, quarterback, coach, quarterback, coach, quarterback. And I guess they do have a coach, quarterback. It just doesn't look the way we normally are used to it, but.
Well, so I want to go through that. Because I was looking at the last 15 years of Super Bowls, and there's a lot of ways people win them, Ben. One, okay, so let's go to the obvious. The one obvious is you have Brady and Belichick, and you have Mahomes and Reid. That's 6 of the last 15 right there, okay? That's how you win 6 of the Super Bowls, right? The rest of them, though, it gets a little interesting. So one way, which I would argue is this way right here, how the Seahawks are going to do it, is have a ready-made team and bring in a quarterback that just plays well enough to win the Super Bowl. That is this year's Seattle Seahawks. That's the Rams a few years back. Remember, they had a ready-made team. They bring in Stafford. They win the Super Bowl. Yeah. That is Tampa the year before that. Ready-made team, receivers, defensive line, bring in Tom Brady, and you win the Super Bowl. That gets you back all the way, just those 2 ways. Ready-made team, bring in a quarterback, or Mahomes and Brady. That gets you back like 10 years of Super Bowls. Also, you look at last year. The Eagles. Do we think Jalen Hurts is the greatest quarterback of all time?
Not even close.
No. There was a team, the roster was insane. Jalen just played well enough. He's not, he might be a superstar in name because he won a Super Bowl in Philadelphia, but he's not like a top 5, 6, 7 quarterback in the league.
No.
But the team was good enough,
to
the roster was good enough.
To where he's also just a wizard of free agency and drafting.
Right.
So I guess you could make the similar argument for the Seahawks GM, because he's moving off players and coaches at the right time, and he's nailing his drafts too with, your JSN, your even Tariq Woolen, that's been a good pick, your Eamon Warriors in the second round. Like, he's just nailing every single spot he has to hit.
Right. So the point I'm making is it's more about roster than we have given it credit for. Go back a decade. Denver beating the Panthers. Peyton Manning could not throw the ball 30 yards. It was over. They were starting Brock Osweiler for a lot of that season. And what happened? They win the Super Bowl. Why? The roster. You go back to Seattle 2 years before that. That roster, Legion of Boom, Marshawn Lynch, unbelievable roster. They had a second-year quarterback, won the Super Bowl. Year before that, Baltimore, Joe Flacco. Now, he played well in the playoffs, but it was the roster. Year before that, Eli Manning. He got hot in the playoffs, but it was that pass rush. They beat Brady, right? That was the 2011. That wasn't the undefeated season, but that was the next one. My point is, rosters have been more important over the last 15 years. Like, when we think about how do you win a Super Bowl, you have Brady or Mahomes. That's how you win. Yeah, but it's a little more complicated than that. It has been about rosters. Both these teams have it. And if the Seahawks win, it's just going to be another notch in the belt of, look, if you have a roster good enough, all you need is your quarterback not to mess it up, and you can do it. I mean, literally, the Seahawks are the case study. Any team in the league can win the Super Bowl. Any team can win the Super Bowl in the next 3 years if they nail the draft and get a quarterback that just doesn't mess it up. That's all you need.
Yeah. And it's not to take away from what Sam Darnold's done, but I mean, these quarterbacks that have won it outside of Stafford, maybe they're not superstars. Some of them, like Jalen Hurts, is not a superstar.
Yeah.
And some of the ones that have come close, even like Brock Purdy's good. I don't consider him elite. Jimmy Garoppolo was certainly not elite, and they came close to beating Mahomes and them. Yeah. So
Now, I do want to make I do want to say one thing. The only way in the NFL to be good every season for a long stretch is to have an elite quarterback. Like, you look at some of these teams, Philadelphia won last year. You saw what happened to them this year. You look at, like, Philadelphia years back when Nick Foles won the Super Bowl. They were terrible for a few seasons, right? Denver, after the Peyton Manning Super Bowl, they fell apart, right? So you can't have continued success just with a good roster and a quarterback that doesn't mess it up, because eventually the roster ages out, injuries catch up with you, whatever it is. You can't have continued success unless you have a Josh Allen, a Lamar, a Mahomes, a Peyton Manning, right?
But and for you look at those teams and some of the rosters,
you just catch a year where everybody stays healthy. If you just catch a year where everybody stays healthy and the quarterback doesn't mess it up, and not most teams are 3 good years away from having a chance at a Super Bowl, and it just, and I feel like in our heads it doesn't feel that way, but that's how the NFL's played out in the last 15 years.
It gives me a slight glimmer of hope as a Falcon fan, because I think the Falcons roster is really, really good. And if we can figure out something at quarterback with our division, shoot, they could be the dadgum 1 seed next year.
And I feel like people hear that and they're like, oh, really, the Falcons, blah, blah, blah. Dude, you would have said the same thing about the Seahawks 2 years ago. You would have said the same thing about the Seahawks
this year.
Yeah. You would have said the same thing about Philly 2 years before they made the Super Bowl, when Carson Wentz was starting over Jalen Hurts to start that season. Like, you would have said the same things about some of these teams. About Tampa before they got Brady. You would have said Tampa Bay in the Super Bowl. Are you kidding me? I'm telling you, man, if you have the roster there and you just bring in a quarterback who's not going to mess it up, crazy things happen. And the Seahawks would be another proof of that if they're able to win this football game.
Yeah.
Which I think they're favored to do.
I think they're favored to do. And we kind of talked about it on the Patriots side, but I think it could be another one of those things where they just don't have to mess this up. It's Sam Darnold. Be smart. Again, punting is not the enemy in a game like this, especially when you have the better roster. Let your defense try to corral them. Let your defense, do what they need to do. If they get a turnover, capitalize. I mean, and I trust your offensive coordinator. Clint Kubiak is a problem for one more game at least until he goes to the Raiders. But man,
Raiders. Yeah. I think one of the big advantages the Seahawks have, and we've said it for weeks now, dude, watching them play, their defense, it looks like a 2015 SEC defense versus a non-conference opponent. They're just so fast.
They're so fast.
They're so fast. And the Patriots receivers, coming into the year, we probably undervalued them a little bit, right? They've been pretty good, but they're not. I mean, this isn't one of the 10 best receiving groups in the league.
They don't have a mismatch guy out there that the Seahawks are terrified
No, they don't. They don't. And they have... You like the build of the Patriots receivers. You got Butte, who can be the deep threat, right? You got Hunter Henry, who's a good enough tight end. You got Stephon Diggs, who's a kind of intermediate, can get open type guy.
You got Kyle Williams, too, is really, really fast. He can stretch the field, too.
Kyle Williams can stretch the field, right? You got Pop Douglas, who's a little slot guy. So you like a lot of the pieces, but they're pieces that work well together, but none of those guys is an elite player anymore. So I think this secondary is just going to have such a speed advantage. I don't know how.
Yeah.
I think Drake May is going to have to fit it into some really tight windows. And when you have a second-year quarterback who, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I don't think it looks exactly the way the Chargers did against the Patriots, but I mean it could be that similar vein to where when I need help, can somebody get open? I don't know if there's one guy I can truly trust against this Seattle secondary to be that guy.
I mean, certainly not if they're able to get pressure quick. I mean, if they're able to get to Drake May relatively quickly, I don't know if the receivers are just going to have time enough to get open with this defensive back group. Now your boy from South Carolina, the safety for Seattle, he got hurt this week, did he not?
Did he?
Have you seen that reporting?
No.
Yeah, he hurt his ankle. Now they say he expects to play. It was a low ankle sprain, not a high ankle sprain, but that might be something. I mean, if he's 80%, maybe this defensive back group looks completely different. I don't know. Maybe he's that big of a factor, but so that's something to watch out for. But man, I think this Seattle defense is going to make Drake May throw it into some really tight windows. I do not think he's going to be able to beat him over the top, which he's been really good at this year. Not so much in the playoffs, but in the regular season. So I'm interested to see some of the schemes and things they throw at Drake May to see if they can trick him and maybe bait him into an interception or two in this game. And if they're able to do that, man, they got a really high chance of winning.
Yeah. Yeah. People. Okay. I went straight to Twitter to look for Eamon Worry stuff. So he's probably going to play, but that is a massive loss because if you look at he was a game changer in that Rams game, dude, where I think they targeted him 3 times. He had 3 pass breakups. I mean, he is 6'3", runs a 4.3 40. I mean, he is a true difference maker on that defense.
Yeah, no,
I think he should win Defensive Rookie of the Year. I really do.
He probably will, and I can't imagine he misses this game. I mean, it's a Super Bowl, for goodness sake. But is he hobbled? I mean, if he's 80%, is that the difference in, him breaking up a pass and a pass becoming a touchdown? Maybe. And I mean, those margins could come into play. So
it matters.
His health will be something to monitor. But man, these linebackers, these DBs, they're so fast. They're so fast. And so it's going to be a big deal to see how Drake May handles that.
Yeah. And then from the coaching legacy side, I mean, I feel like Sam Darnold has done enough to beat this, for this to be his legacy breaker year. So win or lose, I think he's shown the world. But dude, with a win, I was kind of getting Josh going in our group chat a little bit the other day. But there is something to it to where if Sam Darnold goes out there and wins this game, man, there's going to be some conversations that are going to make people really uncomfortable. And I think to a certain extent, some of them should happen. Like when you sit there and you go Sam Darnold or Jalen Hurts, because I feel like people love to throw Jalen Hurts is a Super Bowl win, so he should be X, Y, and Z. Man, if Sam Darnold has the same amount of Super Bowl wins as Jalen Hurts, and he has looked better recently than Jalen Hurts has looked recently, what kind of conversations we having there?
I got one for you. Sam Darnold or Justin Herbert?
I mean, I agree. I mean, I'm a big Justin Herbert fan, but these are the kind of conversations that are going to happen and probably should happen because, if you want to make the argument that, and Jalen Hurts I keep going back to him just because he's the most, he's the easiest one to compare in this situation.
Right. It makes sense.
Because of the roster, but like, you want to use, he played well against Mahomes, one time in the Super Bowl, came up short, and then he came back and was able to win a Super Bowl later. Obviously, we know right now how good that roster of the Eagles was and how much better it was than the Chiefs. But sometimes people don't want to use that argument. So if you don't want to use that argument in his case, can you use that argument in Sam Darnold's case either? Or are we just going to sit here and say, no, it was Sam Darnold? Or are we going to say, the Seahawks roster was better than the Patriots roster?
I don't know what we're going to say. We need to see how the game plays out. But, dude, if Sam Darnold wins the Super Bowl, think about that, man. I can't imagine saying that a month ago, 3 months ago, 2 years ago, 4 years ago. Sam Darnold, Super Bowl champion quarterback. And it doesn't strike me as, people always, it's really a compliment, but people kind of say it as an insult when you bring up Trent Dilfer in 2000, right? They're like, oh,
yeah,
Ravens won a Super Bowl with Trent Dilfer as quarterback. This doesn't strike me as that. It doesn't strike me as like he's completely getting carried by this team, right? Now,
he led
the NFL in turnovers this year. He led the league in turnovers. I saw him make horrible mistakes all season long, which is the reason I couldn't believe in them. He's proven me wrong on that. Like, he's changed that, and it's different now.
He played the best game of his career in the NFC Championship in a close game.
See, that's the thing. Like, this doesn't strike me as a Dilfer situation. Maybe it's a Flacco situation to where he comes back and he never has a season like this again. He never has a playoff run like this again, but has a good career, after the Super Bowl. Maybe it's like that kind of deal with Flacco's Super Bowl in 2012. But this isn't something where I'm like, if he wins the Super Bowl, dude, he's their guy. Like, he's already proven that he's their guy, but like, he's a guy in the NFL if he wins the Super Bowl. It's not like a laughing stock Super Bowl trophy if he pulls this off. So I couldn't be happier for Sam Darnold for how this has turned out. And yeah, like you said, there's going to be weird quarterback ranking conversations.
And I don't think they shouldn't. I think they should happen, but I'm very happy for Sam, and I'm also, if he wins, I'm fascinated to see how these conversations go, because I remember how they go for Jalen Hurts, and I'm really interested to see how they would happen potentially for Sam Darnold as well. But yeah,
the other thing is just we need to start putting more emphasis in how much landing spot really does affect you. Like,
oh yeah,
I think, again, Sam Darnold this year, he hasn't been Patrick Mahomes, right? He hasn't been Josh Allen. He led the league in turnovers. Like, he was not an A+ this season. But we're seeing Sam Darnold, regardless of what happens in the Super Bowl, he's proven he is good enough with the right things around him to win a Super Bowl. If you make a Super Bowl and you're favored, you're good enough to win one, period. Right? Even if you don't end up winning it. He was not just a bust. Like, he was far beyond bust. He was like, goes to the Panthers and can't start bust, right?
I mean, and they had Baker and Darnold, and PJ Walker was starting games for them. Is that right?
And it's like, yeah. And it's like, how many quarterbacks are really good enough to actually do it? And they just go to a place, and whether it's offensive coordinator, whether it's offensive line, play calling, head coach, whatever it is, with the Jets, it's all of the above. Just don't work out when they could have. We need to start putting more emphasis on that. Not when we're evaluating quarterbacks coming out, but like when we evaluate a guy's first 2 years, first 3 years, rookie contract, whatever, or when we just label a guy a bust. We got to start taking that more into account, because we see this Sam Darnold story, this Baker Mayfield story, this Daniel Jones story of this year. Like, how often is it that a guy just gets the worst possible draw and that ruins him, not necessarily he himself ruined him?
Yeah, and it's one of the things I love about Sam's story too is, first of all, congratulations to the Jets for finally drafting a Super Bowl quarterback. But you see what happens at the Jets, right? You see what happens at the Carolina Panthers. And now, sitting back in the seats we're at right now, we can look back and put all of the blame on those two organizations for absolutely botching this. But even it affects those players too, because he goes to the Vikings and has a sensational season, wins 14 games, has 2 bad games. And I'm not going to excuse him for those bad games. He had 2 very bad games at the end of the season. And the history with the Jets and the Panthers and those 2 games was enough for the Vikings to say, no, get this 14-game winning quarterback out of our team. We're going to go with a rookie who's never taken a snap. And now he's in the Super Bowl. He has the first good destination he finally has success. They get rid of him. He goes to another good organization, and now look at him.
Right. And that also goes the other way. So one way this should work is we should have, I guess, more grace is the right word for quarterbacks who don't work out when they go to a bad situation that we know is a bad situation. The flip side is true too. When a guy does do what Joe Burrow did, when a guy does do what Jaden Daniels did, when a guy does go somewhere that's awful, laughingstock, completely abysmal, just rotted out organization, and turns them into a winner, when a guy does what Andrew Luck did. Now, remember, yes, the Colts had Peyton Manning before Andrew Luck, but the year before Luck, I mean, they got the number 1 pick for a reason. They were awful. Peyton got hurt. They traded Peyton. It was a disaster. Andrew Luck comes in, AFC Championship game almost immediately, I think second year. So when that happens, when Josh Allen goes to Buffalo and turns that organization around, once he, becomes good in year 3, we should give higher praise to those guys for overcoming, because there's just not a lot of those type of guys out there that can overcome bad situations. Because even guys like Baker and Sam couldn't do it. So it goes both ways on that when you talk about how bad organizations get turned around.
Yeah. No, I fully agree with that. I mean, there's so much, and I mean, I've probably made this argument before in the past, arguing for Josh Allen when people try to put him down after losing again to Mahomes. But there's so much that goes into organization, and it is very, very thin lines that separate elite from good and elite from greatest of all time kind of stuff. I mean, we say it's a game of inches on the field, and it's the same way organizationally too. Like the Bills just have done a few less things or a few more things, and we're having conversations about Josh Allen that we have about Patrick Mahomes. Or you could say the same about Lamar Jackson. He's the Ravens do a little bit different, or they do 1 or 2 things different, and maybe he's the one we have these conversations about. So organization and situation is the most important part.
Yeah, and I saw an interview, I think it was last year. It might have been this offseason. Tom Brady was giving an interview. I don't even remember where he was, but he was talking about how we view quarterbacks, and he made that point. He was like, yeah, we might go and we might view this quarterback as a bust, or we might view him as this or that, and we look at him and we may say, well, he's the 20th best quarterback in the league. And he's like, well, you may say that, but he might have the 31st best offensive coordinator, and the 28th best play caller, and the 15th best quarterback coach. And they might be the worst team in watching film and teaching a quarterback how to watch film. And you're like, how can you judge a guy when his organization's doing all these things to develop him? He was dead right, man. He was dead right. And we're seeing it with Sam Darnold. To an extent, we haven't seen it with some other guys in recent past. And it's exciting, and it makes you wonder when you're complaining about whoever's on your team being a bust. I mean, even a guy like Trevor Lawrence, you look at him in his first few years and the disaster it was, and all of a sudden Liam Cohen comes in, he struggles the first half of this season, and the second half he looked like, I mean, good gosh, he looked like Josh Allen the second half of the season. So
yeah,
we need to start evaluating guys through the lens of where they come from, ownership down, and yeah, good for Sam. Good for Sam.
Yeah, super happy for him. I don't have as much on Mike Macdonald as far as legacy wise, because he's so young, and in this situation, but I mean, just for making the Super Bowl, we're gonna vault him up, and rightfully so, into the elite of the elite category, especially the NFC, where the NFC is deep coaching wise, man. They're very, very deep. But yeah, if he might have a Super Bowl for Kyle Shanahan, and I'm not going to say he's better than Kyle Shanahan, but there's a real chance he has a Super Bowl before Kyle Shanahan has one. And Shanahan is like universally seen as either the or like the second best coach in the league.
How many coaches would you rather have? Like,
yeah.
I mean, I'm still gonna give it to Andy Reid. I know what this season looked like, but I think we saw how bad that roster was by the end of the year. I'll give it to him, and then like Shanahan. I mean, would you rather have McVay? I don't know. Maybe
I don't know.
It's not a slam dunk. Flip.
It's not, and it's not the slight Sean McVay, but this is the category we're in right now with what Mike Macdonald's done.
Yeah, and I do think Vrabel's probably in that class.
Yeah,
but like,
no, he should be
there's
too.
really good coaches out there. There's really good coaches out there, like really good coaches. Like I think I'd rather have him than John Harbaugh. I think I'd rather have him than Jim
No, I
Harbaugh.
definitely would.
I think I'd rather have him than, you know, Sean Payton. Like really good coaches. I think I'd prefer this guy just with what he's been able to do in 2 years, and he seems sharp. He seems like the real deal, man. So,
I mean, I think we got to give him the nod, at least for right now, over like Ben Johnson. Obviously, Ben Johnson's still in his first year, but
yeah, oh for sure.
I mean, he's
For
over those
sure.
guys. He's over all those guys.
Yes, yes. LaFleur, absolutely. Even O'Connell, who we love, definitely take him over him.
You know, I'm a big Kevin O'Connell guy.
So, yeah, but like that, he has to be to do what he has done in 2 years. I mean, that is absolutely incredible work by him.
Yep. Yeah, I'm excited for the Super Bowl, man. It's less of I don't have as big a dog in the fight as I usually do.
Right.
It's a weird Super Bowl. There's less. I mean, last year and years past, we've obviously had a ton of legacy talk. There's been the Chiefs dynasty and the rising meteor that is Patrick Mahomes through the ranks of the greatest all time. And the Eagles roster and all that kind of stuff. This one, it feels a little tamer. Does that feel that way to you?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like there's not as much all time. Like neither one of these quarterbacks or coaches is moving into the top 5 or 3 all time or anything like that. Like there's no neither one of these quarterbacks. Well, I guess Drake May is being compared to Brady just because he's a Patriot making the Super Bowl in year 2, but not like legacy wide. He's not being compared to Brady, like it's from a NFL wide standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Darnold isn't either. So there's none of those conversations, but it's still going to be a fun game. Even if it's not the biggest names in the world, it's still going to be a fun game, and obviously super pumped to watch it.
Yeah, and I think we'll kind of close maybe a prediction or sort of like we did last year of how do we see this game playing out. And I think last year we were pretty on the ball. We said that the most likely outcome was the Chiefs win a 1-score game, which they've been doing all year, or the Eagles blow them out because they got a better roster. So we hit that pretty close on the head. I think it's a little different this year, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I think this one's close until the fourth quarter. I'm gonna pick Seattle by somewhere between 7 and 10. I don't know. I think it's probably a little lower scoring. I think the pass rush alongside the tight windows is going to be a little too much for May. I really do. I think Seahawks are going to be able to get to him. I think the defense is too fast. I don't think May melts down. I don't think Darnold plays as well as he did last or a couple weeks ago. But I think Darnold is gonna. I think he's gonna be really conservative unless they make him take risks, and I just don't think they're ever gonna put him in a position where he has to take risks. So I think he plays
I don't think
okay.
The Patriots pull away from him for that.
Right, Drake plays okay, and I think some special teams play for Seattle in the fourth quarter, kind of seals it. And the Seahawks win 7-10, something like that. Maybe it's a punt block. Maybe it's a big return from Shaheed. Maybe it's a missed field goal from the Patriots rookie kicker. I don't know. But I think special teams plays a factor in the fourth quarter, and the Seahawks win,
Yeah.
somewhere
I'm
between
kind of
7
with you. That's where I would say. This one less like last year, we thought for sure, like, if the game is close, the Chiefs are going to do what they always do and find a way to win.
Right.
I do think Drake May is the better quarterback in this game.
Yes,
but
he
it's
is,
not
for sure.
it's not the gap that Mahomes to Hurts is.
No.
Darnold's a little bit closer to him, so I think there is a high likelihood that the Seahawks win regardless, and they could win a close game versus the other one. Less likely, I do think the Seahawks have a chance to pull away from them. Not that Drake May melts down, but I mean mistakes are going to kill him in this game. So if he they fumble a snap or he throws up, even if it's not his fault, some kind of tip ball pick, that could really hurt him. And the Seahawks have the talent to be able to pull away from him on both sides of the ball. But well, I'm with you. I think they win by a touchdown or so.
Yep. Yeah, I think, like I said, I think either of these teams could win a close game. I think if it's a blowout, I don't see a way the Patriots blow out the Seahawks unless Darnold goes full Stroud, which again is still possible, but I don't think that's going to happen. So I don't think there's a way the Patriots blow out the Seahawks without that. But we'll see. Should be fun, man.
Yep.
Should be fun.
I'm excited. This is I'm hoping for a low stress Super Bowl.
Who are you pulling for?
I do want the Seahawks to win. I am pulling for the Seahawks. It's nothing personal, Patriots fans, but y'all have had the past 20 years to enjoy this, and you've had this year. A team again. I rarely know success like this in my life, but I do enjoy the story, and some people like or dislike underdog stories. I don't even think this is an underdog story because I think the Seahawks are the better team, so they should be the favorite. But I really like the. I don't even know if it's an underdog story at this point, but the redemption arc for Sam Darnold, where like it's proof that hey, this was not my fault all the time. And then just seeing a good organization that makes smart decisions, seeing that pay off for them, I really want to see that happen for the Seahawks.
Yep. So, I wouldn't be upset if the Seahawks win. I want my boy Drake May to win, but I wouldn't be upset if the Seahawks won. So,
yeah,
we'll see, man. Myles Garrett just got the Defensive Player of the Year, and Tet just got Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I saw that. And Josh McDaniels actually won Assistant Coach of the Year. So there's a chance the Patriots have the Coach of the Year and the Assistant Coach of the Year.
Yeah, McDaniels being in this game so many times is an advantage that the Patriots have that we didn't mention. Yeah. I still just don't think it's going to be enough, but
yep.
We'll see.
We'll see. I think that's all we got for you guys. We'll see you next week with some Super Bowl breakdown.
Yep.
We'll do it.
Very good.
See y'all in the next one.